This is the third and final bracketology update for the college basketball season. But before I get into it, I do want to announce that I am hosting an ESPN Tournament Challenge. So I will put the link in the description box down below so you can go on and be a part of the fun, fill out a bracket. Now, normally I only allow one bracket for the group, but because of the fact that we didn't get a tournament last season, to make up for that, I will allow everybody that joins the group to have a second entry. Now, this is going to be a special tournament, and I personally can't wait for it. And I'm going to savor every single game for all of its value, because this will be the first tournament since 2019. And having a March without an NCAA tournament, it just made me feel empty inside. And I can't wait for this one. I hope everybody feels the same way and enjoys every single game and accepts the fact that this tournament, it's such a beautiful tournament. I'd say the most beautiful 3 weeks in all of sports. So go on ahead and take part in the group. Now, without further ado, let's get into the bracketology update. Now, these are according to Lunardi, as I have been basically comparing the Bubble Watch to Lunardi. So, this is his last 4 buys: VCU, UCLA, Michigan State, and Louisville. Last 4 in are Syracuse, Drake, Utah State, and St. Louis. First 4 out: Colorado State, Memphis, Boise State, and Ole Miss. The next 4 out: Seton Hall, Xavier, St. John's, and SMU. Now, one thing that I can agree with Lunardi on here, I can agree that Xavier, St. John's, and SMU, I think that they are deserving of that next 4 out. So, I also agree with the last 4 buys. I agree with 3 of the 4. I think VCU is deserving of the last 4 buy because they are on the bubble at this point and they will be competing in the A10 tournament championship. So they've earned at least the last 4 buy, even if they lose. So I think VCU, I think they should be able to get in. Louisville, I think, is deserving of the last 4 buy, of a last 4 buy, and Michigan State. I mean, they have struggled throughout the season, but they have picked up some important wins in this final portion of the season. And I'm adding in Syracuse to the last 4 buys. And putting into the last 4 in, I'm putting in UCLA. And UCLA, they were safely in the tournament when the month of March began. And now they are on the bubble watch. Mainly because UCLA is currently on a 4-game losing streak. And they would be going into the tournament on a 4-game losing streak. So I think UCLA has to be bumped out into at least that last 4 in. And also my last 4 in, Utah State, St. Louis, and Drake. Now, St. Louis and Drake, those were teams that really needed a miracle to get into this field, and I think that has been accomplished. I think that, well, maybe not necessarily accomplished, as I will get into that in just a moment. But the teams around them within that bubble watch, they didn't win their conference tournament. I mean, Xavier struggled to get wins end the season. In fact, they couldn't win towards the end of the season. St. John's didn't win the Big East. SMU, Ole Miss could win the SEC tournament, lost in the quarterfinal. And Colorado State, Boise State couldn't make it to the Mountain West Championship. So, St. Louis and Drake, they they benefit from a very stacked bubble within that Mountain West. And I was saying that the best case scenario, something that can really help these teams that are around these Mountain West teams, would be for San Diego State to win the Mountain West tournament. And Utah State and San Diego State will be facing off in that Mountain West championship tomorrow. Well, today by the time this gets uploaded. And Drake, well, their top two scorers are out. So I'd say Drake, it's pretty reasonable for them to get in, but make them be the last four in. Because, yes, they had a really good season, but their top two scorers are down. So I'm not positive that Drake can really make some noise in this tournament. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, back when the tournament expanded to 68 teams, VC went from the first four to the final four, so you never know. My first four out are Memphis, Colorado State, Seton Hall, and Boise State. I still think Seton Hall has a bit of an argument to maybe get in, depending on how the community feels on Selection Sunday. Because I just think with Seton Hall being in the Big East, and the Big East too is pretty competitive. At least competitive from a standpoint of teams were fighting to get into this tournament field. Because if you look, Xavier, St. John's, they're also a part of this bubble as well. And UConn was a part of the bubble at the beginning of March. And the next four out, Ole Miss, Xavier, St. John's, and SMU, as mentioned a moment ago. So, as I said a moment ago as well, that teams like Drake and St. Louis, they've benefited from teams within the bubble not winning their conference tournament, not getting the automatic qualifier. But what could keep those two teams out? Now, we don't know if they're going to be officially out. This is just based on what Lenardi thinks, that Drake and St. Louis are the last four in. But there is still a possibility. Because we've got some potential bracket busters before the tournament even begins. Georgetown, Oregon State. Georgetown in the Big East final against Creighton. If they pull off the upset, they get the automatic qualifier. And that really makes a big shift right into this tournament field. Same thing for Oregon State. If they can get the Pac-12 automatic qualifier, a big turn in this bracket. And VC can win the Atlantic 10 on Sunday. Memphis, they're in the semifinal in their conference tournament. And Utah State in the championship against St. Louis in the Mountain West Conference. So if Georgetown and Oregon State were to steal automatic bids, that could push St. Louis and Drake out of the tournament. That could also push like Michigan State or Louisville into that last four in. If VCU were to win, if they were to win on Sunday, they would not have to be worried about the last four bye. They would be a part of the automatic qualifier, not needing to worry about an at-large bid. But then that'd bring in St. Bonaventure all the way into the bubble watch as well. So if any of these five teams win their conference tournament, it's going to cause chaos before the tournament even begins. So if you're a team like UCLA or I'd say St. Louis, Drake, Michigan State, Syracuse, you are rooting for Creighton in the Big East tournament. You're rooting for Colorado in the Pac-12 tournament. You're rooting for St. Bonaventure in the Atlantic 10 tournament. You are rooting for Houston tomorrow to beat Memphis. You're rooting for San Diego State tomorrow. Well, today, by the time this gets uploaded. So, you do not want to be a bubble team right now, especially seeing that these teams, they could steal an automatic qualifier. So, that is all I'm going to say Although I wouldn't say any of these teams are out yet. I mean, Creighton, they have a little bit of distractions going on right now in the program. And for Oregon State, well, we have seen teams accomplish the impossible before. VCU, never know. Utah State, I mean, they won the Mountain West last season. And Memphis, they came close to beating Houston last week. Only lost by 3 points. So, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time.